People might call us single ladies stubbornly lonely. I choose to disagree. I choose to call us thriving, happy, and stepping into an era of huge healing, growth, and unlimited possibilities.
Nobody cares what you think.
You know what? I must have texted like a dozen dudes and nobody is calling you stubbornly lonely. Personally, I've never heard of the concept of a woman being called stubbornly lonely, but I have heard of used up, washed out, dried up, bitter old hags try to pep themselves up by using impassioned speeches with positive sounding nonsense language as a coping mechanism for making some terrible decisions with what to do with their time and their bodies. I have heard of that, but that typically doesn't last very long, especially once they realize that their healing journey actually requires a limit of their regular intake of boxed wine. And if I'm understanding my baseless assumptions correctly, that's typically a deal breaker for most modern women.
When you step out your comfort zone and stop relying on other people to provide happiness, that is the ultimate superpower. A superpower that some might feel intimidated by. However, that's their issue. Let me know if you agree.
No.
Hate to break it to you, sister, but that's not the ultimate superpower. If you ask any man, they will tell you that the ultimate superpower has been debated for tens of thousands of years, and there is not a single man in existence that will agree on what that might be. There's just too many factors at play. Personally, I find that the greatest superpowers are practical, like being able to install a fully functioning Japanese toilet anywhere at any time in less than 3 minutes. Can you imagine the kind of business model that hero could have? The time savings alone of being able to install a urinal at a bar with only one functioning toilet would make you a practical god amongst mere mortals. I don't know, there's just too much to think about. What do you guys think? What is the greatest superpower? Let me know in the comment section down below. But I think as men, we can all agree what's not a superpower is being able to not rely on others for validation. I feel like that's something you just naturally do when you have respect for yourself. But then again, we're dealing with modern women. Abandoning all logic is just the name of the game when dealing with them.
I know it, your family knows it, dogs know it.
Am I the only one who feels like single men barely exist anymore? I'm not saying like, oh, there's no guys left, because there definitely are. I'm just wondering why they behave like they're barely alive.
Well, gee whiz, it wasn't anything personal, woman. It's not that we're barely alive, we're just exhausted from hanging out at Skeeter's place. I mean, how could we not be tired? That guy invited us over because he ran across like 8 of these massive barbecue smokers. So here we are, making some awesome barbecue, and we realized we had a bunch of time to kill. We had 8 hours, it was a nice day. We also had a bunch of these surplus regulation kickballs, so what do you do when that happens? I got 3 words for you, sister. Beer league kickball. Barbecue in a kickball tourney, and the team who won didn't have to clean up afterwards. And let me tell you, sister, it got pretty intense, but let me tell you, it was worth it. There is no victory that tastes any sweeter than defeating your enemies in ultimate kickball than feasting on barbecue pork afterwards. It truly is what makes life worth living.
This culture of minimal interaction and non-committal consumption, this isn't working. This is not working. People are not connecting. They're just frustrating each other on dating apps. And I gave them up 3 years ago for reasons like this and many, many others, but I'm honestly confused. Why are men using dating apps? I would like you to tell me why.
Wow, that's fantastic work, man. You have the wisdom of a 6,000 or 7,000-year-old man. That's fantastic. We don't have to fill up the whole blackboard after all.
Well, the self-respecting men have given up the dating apps because we figured beer league kickball would be a better use of our time. Well, that and the fact that we've been the victim of this non-committal, minimal interaction society a hell of a lot longer than you have. And not only could we have told you that dating apps suck balls, we've been telling this for you for years and you simply didn't want to listen. The only guys who still use dating apps outside of bots, simps, and pervs are Chad when he's in the mood for something a little picante, and I'm not talking about spicy barbecue pulled pork when I say that. The rest of us can't be bothered to date anymore because we're tired of feeding chicks who ignore us for Instagram posts and stories about our ex. Well, that 90% of the time, let's face it, women can't keep a decent conversation to save their lives. So by abandoning all of it, it's win-win for us at the end of the day.
Indeed. So I got stood up tonight, right, by the same hole in the same week, under the same circumstance for the second time. Observe the jumpsuit, the boots, the earrings, the face. I'm hot as right. He tells me
Let's do this.
Woman, if I just lie to you and tell you that jumpsuit doesn't make you look like you got rejected from your prison-themed high school senior prom, would it shut you up? No? Okay, then you leave me no choice. There is nothing about you that I would consider remotely attractive, let alone hot. Your hair is a mess. Your voice sounds like a combination of a condescending real estate agent combined with a Karen who's talking to a waitress after her food got slightly wrong, and the fact that you're bitching about getting stood up on a date on TikTok means you have no life, and those tattoos scream impulse issues. I can't even pretend that you would be considered appealing if I drank a few dozen beer because your foul mouth is incredibly unladylike and makes you undesirable, at least by my standards. I personally think getting into a hammer fight against Snake Plissken himself would be a better use of my time than wasting it on a 15-minute cup of coffee with you. Sure, either one would be a death sentence, but at least with Snake, would not only be more productive, it'd be a hell of a lot more badass too.
Hey, so my friend hit me up super last minute and I'm gonna go ahead and hang out with him rather than hang out with you in our days ahead prearranged plans. But I'm actually not gonna have the respect to reach out to you and tell you this and cancel on you. I'm gonna wait till you get there to text me to clarify that I'm coming to drop the bomb on you that I'm gonna be too busy in my friend's in the corner. Yeah. I'm a nice guy.
Congratulations!
Guess I'm failing to see what's wrong here. This guy who was probably looking for some fun time with the goop portal of unrelenting dread was probably using you as a backup to his backup plan should his initial backup plan to score fail. And when it came to your turn to bat, so to speak, wink wink nudge nudge, seemingly out of nowhere a good buddy just dropped on by. Now here's something you need to know about men. If a man has the choice between hanging out with one of his good buddies or having to endure your toxic nature for the mere probability of being able to score, he's gonna choose his buddies 10 times out of 10. And he's gonna put the minimal amount of effort to cancel things with you as well. You should actually consider yourself lucky and somewhat flattered that he sent you that text to begin with. That's the 21st century way of communicating. And for the record, that's a precedent with which you set, by the way. Most dudes would have just ghosted you and moved on to the next chick, which is also a precedent that you set as well. And now you can't stand that those methods are being used against you. Time truly is a mysterious river, isn't it?
Listen up, you 22-year-old drug addict skinny mother that lives at home with his mom. I put on makeup for you. I never put on makeup for anyone or anything.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Okay, so tonight I wish upon you butthole burning, butthole ripping, hospitalization, diarrhea. No toilet paper will save you tonight.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Oh God, where am I? Are you done? Okay, good. Sorry, I was taking a little nap while you were making that pathetic attempt at roasting. Because, woman, you could have just saved yourself a whole bunch of time and maybe a minuscule amount of dignity if you just said that you wish the guy got some food poisoning and left it at that. It would have at least sounded a little classier. And trust me, sister, you need all of the help you can get in that department. All of those insults you threw at this guy were bottom of the barrel and on par with a 7th grader who writes edgelord poetry. Nothing you said will make this guy even blink an eye. If anything, he and his buddies are just gonna laugh at you and make him feel thankful that his bro came to him when he did. Because when it comes to dudes, a good friend will have your back through just about anything and will swoop in your time of need and remind you of the golden rule.
Brothers before wars, David.
I don't give a f what kind of man your man is. Like, oh, well, my man's not really like that. No, if he doesn't know your cycle, like if he doesn't understand the severity of the hormones rushing through your body that gives you that attitude, that makes you more hungry, that makes you more irritable, like find a new man, please. Because the man who loves you is the man who cares. And the man who cares is going to make sure that he caters to you and not in like a little puppy dog boy way.
Okay, Okay, interesting proposal, but I have a counter proposal for you. Instead of telling women that they need to dump men who don't act like period butlers, you can check your period privilege at the door and take some accountability for your terrible attitude. Now, I will admit I'm not a woman, and that's something that I give praise to the responsible insurance rates of the intergalactic space god Mlorpachurn, all hail, on almost a nightly basis. Not to diminish your discomfort, but if you think that a self-respecting man is going to allow you to disrespect us and take your hormones as an acceptable excuse, well then you have another thing coming. Men have been dealing with physical discomfort for centuries. It's called dealing with it. Is it fun? No. Is it effective in not pissing everyone around you off? Well, you'd be surprised.
He understands in those times. He is not getting mad at you for not having sexy time in your luteal phase, because we don't want to be touched in that time. If he doesn't understand that, like, I don't really think that he deserves you. My man literally knows the day that my period starts every single month. Okay, and the week before my period starts, he's not all over me or getting frustrated with me for not having time with him, or like wondering or asking me, what's wrong with you? Why are you so moody? Why do you have an attitude? Like, he's not asking me none of that dumb shit because he already knows.
Ew.
Okay, that's not normal. That actually sounds kind of terrible. You've essentially established that your simp boyfriend is responsible for walking around an impossibly massive minefield for a minimum of 2 weeks out of every month, where he has to watch what he says, minds how he touches you, and make sure that you have plenty of chocolate, herbal tea, and whatever the hell else you demand of him. And woe be unto him if he ever steps out of line and forgets your phases. And 50 intergalactic space bucks says that if he comes down with the flu and asks you to help him out when he's sick for a few days, the first thing you'll do is go on TikTok to rip him a new one because you don't want to be his mother when he's sick. But that's not going to stop you from treating this guy like complete dirt because he said something that mildly irritated you during one of your garbage phases.
And he also gives me grace for being a woman because he understands how hard it is to be a woman. I don't know who needed to hear this. He doesn't have to know the names of the cycle or like the fact that you're going through your luteal phase, but like just understanding and knowing like, oh, okay, her periods. Can you tell that I'm in my luteal phase right now? Anyways, find a new man if you don't understand, if you don't get it.
No. No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Oh, woman. I don't think you can talk about having grace when every other word that's been flying out of your pie hole is a swear word. And I don't think you can say that you have it oh so hard because you're a woman. You literally have period privilege. You can treat people like garbage, scream up a storm, and act like an immature brat and blame it all on your period and hormones, and you more or less get a pass for your terrible behavior. Men do not have that luxury. In fact, men are expected to go through rigorous amounts of physical exertion, pain, and illness in complete silence. But not only are you expecting us to keep quiet about our problems, you expect us to deal with yours simply because you exist. Well, I hate to break it to you, woman. We couldn't care less about your problems. You're strong and independent Yas Queen Boss Bae. So go be a strong and independent Yas Queen Boss Bae and go deal with your own problems and shut your mouth for once in your life. And that is going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Let's give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.